What you're about to learn here, I've taught all the way out to Seattle, Portland, Corpus Christi, Chicago, down to Washington D.C. And some of the things that you're concerned about, everyone else has the same concerns, and they don't know anything about the fire escape. So fire escape sort of became like it's sort of like we call it the foster child of egress. You'll care about a lot of buildings, but the one thing that you sometimes totally forget about is whether or not the second means of egress is going. So you're from Concord, and what's
Brookline, New Hampshire.
Brookline? Any downtown fire escape to your knowledge?
We do, we have it on our town hall. We have an outdoor fire escape, you know, the old type, it's not covered.
Right.
Anything like that. There are a couple of buildings in town that do have, they're
Balconies
old,
and ladders, maybe?
well, they're old farmhouse type buildings that were built into apartments now, and they do have a fire escape going out. They are covered. They have a roof over them, but they're not enclosed, that
Right.
sort of thing.
Open to the weather all
Open
the
to
time.
the weather, and that's a big thing.
Now, the biggest issue we're gonna have, and now with Concord, you've got a great big downtown that has had a lot of buildings change over, and some of these fire escapes just disappeared. But then there's always some buildings that are older, 50, 75 years old, that they still have fire escapes as the means of egress on the back.
Right,
And-
we've got a lot of buildings that have the old metal style fire escapes going up the back of them. You know, the type where you go out and then the counterweight
Yeah,
lifts it.
they're called cantilevered balanced stairs.
Right, and we've got a lot of those, but, don't really know a whole lot about them, structurally.
Can you recall the last time somebody asked you to inspect one, or what the norm is? Even, where you would find a code that would force somebody in that city to inspect that fire escape or repair it, unless it's just flagrant, like
Well, I know
a
there's-
smash by a truck or something?
I know there's some things in NFPA 101, and I know there's an ANSI standard that covers fire escapes, but I don't really know a whole lot. That's why I'm here today.
Well, there's a lot of fire escape codes out there, believe it or not, and they always come down to two paragraphs. One paragraph says, very generally, in all the states, whether it be the state building code or a fire code, it says, all fire escapes must be structurally sound at all times. Another code says, you must maintain your fire escape at all times, which means keep it painted, and that's it. Every code in the United States, you have to sort of take off from there. So if it ain't something that's on the forefront, if it doesn't have a schedule, like sprinklers have a schedule. I want this building scheduled every year. Fire escapes are not on that type of a schedule. Elevators are on a schedule. Give me an elevator test every 2 years for you guys?
It's every year or two. Yeah.
Every year or two?
Yeah.
Otherwise, shut down your building.
Right.
So between sprinklers, alarms, God forbid a central station is not working, this building is down. It's shut down until that matter gets quickly resolved.
Right.
Now, all those things that we have, guess what's not on the list, which is what a fire escape is for. A fire escape is made for self-evacuation.
Yeah.
It's not something you guys use. It's something you guys need in case of an emergency. Otherwise, you're going in the front door, you're going through all the normal ways. But in case of a bad situation, your guys need to get out. But what it's really made for is if the owners or the tenants in the building can't get out, they're supposed to use the fire escape to self-evacuate. So these things are really made for tenants and for firemen to use in a last-ditch effort when everything else has failed. And yet, for 50 to 75 years, nobody's been watching these.
Yeah.
So you're saying that you don't recall the last time you forced somebody with a violation to fix their fire escape?
This one here, the one at our town hall, I keep on them as far as, we have a slate roof, and all the ice and snow gather right on it, so you can't open that second door from the auditorium.
But it's not on a checklist of any kind as far as the rest of the buildings in your town. You don't have some sort of checklist that says, you keep an eye on these.
It's basically me watching it, and if I see something happens, I gotta get on somebody to get that cleaned
And
off.
so you're the watchdog, and with all the other things going on in town. So what we're gonna talk about today is basically what you guys are forced into is that you have so much on your plate, and fire escapes have been ignored for 75 years before you anyway, so it didn't come to you as one of the main things, like, radon gas, is important, sprinklers are very important, and, structural adequacy of a roof during snow loads. I mean, you guys have all these disaster things that you always concern yourself about, and yet fire escapes is one of those that should get the attention, but here's the reason why it's not getting the attention is it very rarely gets used. It's like a parachute in my plane. It's like, I hope it works. But because the activity of a fire is so low that all of a sudden, even though you've got a hand grenade there, you never get to use it anyway. So it's basically, you let sleeping dogs lie, years go by, and it never really gets tested. So, but we're trying to tell you that now it's 50 to 75 years later, and these fire escapes have been basically rotting themselves to.
No, I am, yeah.
Talk to me about this. You get a lot of these light wells, they call them.
Yeah.
You know, these are similar to fire escapes. They use grading, similar to fire escapes.
Yeah.
Do you know how they sit up here? And when you look down, how many feet drop? 8 to 10?
Yeah, it's on just on the angle
It's on an
there,
angle,
which anchors into the building, probably the same way as our.
Okay, correct. And this side too is an angle clip, right?
Yeah.
All rotten. Now, if I'm standing here and this gives way,
You're awful brave.
right? But this thing comes down and lands on this. So does this need to be 100 pounds per square foot?
It would have to be the same, yeah.
So who needs to guarantee this?
Who?
Yeah,
The engineer.
The engineer needs to inspect these. How about this one over here? Same thing. Who guarantees that this is in good order? And this is only a 3-foot drop, but who guarantees this?
Would be the engineer also.
The engineer, okay?
Yeah.
So, and then you get these. But if I'm gonna step on these things, who guarantees that somebody can step on these things? Because if I'm fighting a fire, doing anything,
Yeah.
I'm either standing on ground or I'm standing on something that's a bridge, a balcony, or a pedestal.
Yeah.
Who guarantees the pedestals?
It would have to be the engineer.
Correct, so this whole area gets inspected.
Yeah.
It needs to be part of the inspection. Under a Farescape Academy, Farescape inspection, critical examination, everything is looked at, including going to the roof, including going to that ladder.
Yeah.
Okay?
I was just admiring the very old sign.
Sprinkler alarm, call fire department. Yeah. Some of those things, you find those on the, if you ever watch that show, Pieces?
Yeah.
Spalling.
Yeah.
You got evidence of maintenance, now flip it around. Gary, what we got here? So it does work, right? But this one, if this was working properly, it'd be like this. Obviously, these are supposed to be 12 to 15 feet off the ground, 12 to 14 actually.
Right.
And when you release, this is what occurs. When you release it, this
That's supposed to go
drop
down.
by itself 2 to 3 feet per second.
Yeah, and it doesn't.
But it's not, it's out of balance.
Yeah.
So, but with that, it's a great case for us to study.
And you're open here.
Yeah. Water's being driven every day inside here, and
Yeah. And you got a lot of rust building up right
are you starting to see cracking? You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
some water getting in here and causing some rust jacking.
Yep.
See the rust that's growing in here, growing in here?
Yep.
Look at all your treads, all rivets. Okay? All original hardware. Square head bolts up at the very top. So, a lot of times, you know, if this was like that, you know, you wouldn't see it. But that's how simple it is. It's a single action requiring no special knowledge.
Yeah.
You'll just run right through it.
Yeah.
That ladder to the roof is for you, not for anybody else. Cement and spalling. And you got two options here. Low test it,
Yeah.
spot repair and low test it,
Yeah.
or full refurbishment on something that is just old. If this thing was 20 years old only, you and your engineer would probably come up with a plan that says, you know what, I'm okay. You like the strength? You got something to prove to me that the strength is good and there's no rust in any of the connections? Let's let it go for another 5. I'll see you in 5 more years.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're touching things that are at least 50, but on average are 75 plus years old,
Yeah.
and it's just old. And if any of these bolts that we refurbish give us problems, you know, years from now, who do we sue?
The manufacturer of the bolt.
The manufacturer of the bolts. Who carries liability insurance for that, don't they?
Well, really do.
Yeah. And if there's an epoxy bolt that fails, who gets sued?
Same.
Same company. Only if I improperly install it or improperly install a bolt, but otherwise, if it's properly installed bolts on the treads, properly installed epoxy bolts into the wall, and there's a failure of any kind, the people in the building have somebody to go after, but not the city, not the inspector, and not the owner. Okay? So, must be structurally sound, must be kept painted.
The paint on this one
Not too bad.
Not too bad from some of the other ones we've seen.
Yeah, this one, and a lot of times it's because it's tucked into this little corner. It doesn't get the constant rain, the constant wind.
Yeah.
But this one's doing better than that
one.
side.
Yeah, that side.
Which side? Which side's the yellow? Which side's the red?
This would be the yellow, that would be the red.
And what's the main reason?
The step and the
The release arm
release arm.
is in the correct area.
And then
And-
the weight.
Is
the
it's
counter-
falling.
the
It looks like it wants to
counterweight.
fall off,
The counterweight is not in too good shape there.
right? That falls, that's gonna crush somebody.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Number two, and you brought up a good point, is that where a release arm is supposed to be?
No.
It doesn't make any sense because even if I try to put it where it is right now, there's so much pressure at the pivot point, you can never have a release arm right here. It makes no sense because as I come down the stair, that release arm has to be where this one is. It has to be at the beginning of the stair because I need to catch my weight here. I can't catch my weight somewhere in here like that one's doing.
Yeah.
And that one is ripped. Meaning that release arm that somebody kind of built in and shoehorned in here, it's broken.
Yeah.
It's right here.
Yeah.
Look at it.
It's caught underneath right there.
Yeah, but it's actually backwards. If you look at it, it's weird. It's at the so close to the pivot point that it's actually non-functional. You can't do anything with a release arm that close to the pivot.
No, that's usually towards the back.
Yeah, because it'll rip it. It'll bend it, rip it, it'll do whatever has to be done.
Yeah. Kind of cool, huh?
You learn something new every day. Side twin brothers and sisters here. So, Fire Escape Academy inspector training video. People were sick and tired of coming in here because of the snow. They start dropping extra weight on it. Let's see how heavy it is.
Yeah, it goes.
How far, you try to lift that yourself and tell me how far you think I'd have to go out to counteract that balance.
Probably about four or five
Four?
steps, maybe five.
I have to come way out in order to make this thing come down. Now, I've got broken treads. I've got damage. There's a broken tread damage there.
Yeah,
I got rust.
because it's hitting the support there because
Exactly.
it's angled up so high.
Yeah, it just snapped it,
Yeah.
because that's what was probably keeping it. Now take a look at here. What's happening here?
Pulling apart.
So this weight, come back here and take a look here. If this weight was ever to let go, look at this. Tear, rusty tears, ice jacking, rust jacking. Original hardware, no. And it has a release arm. Is that release arm all busted up? And the top of it, when you come down that stair, and this I believe is a bank, correct?
Yeah.
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 So if I come running out, do you think that thing will poke me in the legs?
Oh, I'm sure it will.
Did you need some help?
No. I'm
Oh, I
playing
noticed.
with the.
Let's start. Fire Escape Academy inspector training videos. We're here in Concord, New Hampshire. Just finished teaching a class. We got Ken here with us. And this one's got a nice release arm. So they do exist.
They do.
They're real.
Yes, this one
They
actually
mean
has
something.
one. This one actually has
And
one.
this is, as you can see on that, this is a weight that stops people from breaking in. So if I wanted to throw something up here or get my buddy up here and pull this down, will that release arm let me?
No.
So you basically got a anti-theft device in here. But with that being said, original hardware or evidence of maintenance?
Looks pretty much original.
All right, so you got a 50 to 75-year-old Fire Escape, all original, okay? And you're looking for evidence of maintenance, rust growth.
Looks like maybe a few of the, couple of those bolts going into the wall
Yeah.
there have been replaced.
Reinforced to get it
Yeah.
tightened back in there. So some minor spotting, but as far as the main structure, any evidence of maintenance. And let's look up there. Is these welded connections? Look right here. It's a perfect example of an all welded angle. And you say, Cisco, come over here and give me a guarantee on this. All right, so I come in here and inspect it for you. What's my only way to load test this frame over here?
X-ray.
X-ray, big heavy machinery, lots of money,
No.
not feasible, right?
No.
So the other one is to load test it. I can just load test it right off the bat,
You could.
okay? That's costly,
Yeah.
but,
and
it's all welded, right? And they look
Yeah.
pretty good still, right? That looks like a guy that knew what he was doing welded that. Is that your layman's interpretation of that right now?
Yeah, yeah. It
But you
looks
still
like
ask-
it looks like a decent bead.
Yeah, and you're looking for me to sign off on it though.
Yeah.
And I will. As soon as I pop a bolt there, and I pop a bolt there, I'm going to be very happy to sign off a confidence test for you.
Yeah.
So I'll load test it, or I'll put bolts in it and sign off on it.
Yeah.
There's your 2 guarantees. Anything else? You want an opinion letter, or I won't give it. Why don't you let me allow a big disclaimer? And my disclaimer says I won't pay for it, but the city or the owner will pay for it if anything happens. That's my disclaimer.
Yeah.
So now let's look up at the rest of the fire escape, and what do you see?
Well, it's starting to get a little bit of rust here
Yeah.
on it, so it definitely needs some painting. And,
Yep, and whenever you get a silver fire escape, they show all the rust very well. But do you see any major rust in the tread connections? Major, like, blatant. Yeah, you don't see any major
I
stuff,
don't
right?
see any major
So would
stuff.
this be a red or yellow fire escape for you?
Yeah, probably yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And get the owner to get going on this, and have an engineer tell you what's the real status, because he's going to do an investigation that's critical examination.
Yeah.
But this is a yellow, so you would leave here with a yellow tag on this thing.
All
Let's
right. Now
take a-
let me ask you a quick question. See what was the term you
You
used?
call them either dragon tears or rusty tears.
Yeah.
So yeah, you obviously are showing that this building is showing heavy oxidization from the fact that water is getting into your building, getting behind the veneer, has no place to go but out, and it comes out in tears and shows you signs that you in the past will never know that's a sign for you.
Yeah.
Now you got all these signs that say that the connections into these buildings minimally got to be duplicated, because you've got severe evidence that says the fire escape
Hey.
is in question.
You're not going up there, neither am I. Hi, Rick. How are you? I'm good, buddy. How you doing? Working hard?
So now you also see
Good for you.
that the weight doesn't have a release arm. It's out of balance, and they've put extra weight on the back so that the thing doesn't drop. There's no release. They have to go up 5 stairs in order for it to drop. He's also notified that basically Susan is up front, Dan is in the back, so that thing will never come down anyway. It is an active building, all the lights are on.
Yeah.
So somebody's gonna lose their parking space after you get done with them. All original hardware, nothing but rivets.
Yeah.
And when you get underneath here, Dan,
Do I have to?
then you see evidence of rust on every tread.
Oh yeah.
Yeah? And because it's rivets, how much room do we have on rivets before it gives way?
About 3/8.
Yeah. And only a quarter of it, because that 3/8 goes through a 1/4 inch flat
Yep.
before it gets to the tread, and had its tail smashed to make the back end of it. So some of these treads ready to give way in your estimation?
I am sure.
So this is if you look up, you see any treads that are kind of bigger, sort of in the middle here. You see one of those treads ready to give way there.
Oh yeah. Well, you can see a lot of the rust down underneath the
rusty tier. Straight up to the roof ladder. What's the biggest problem with the roof ladder? Who are those for?
maintenance folks. Or fire.
Never a maintenance guy. Maintenance guy will never use that ladder.
Yeah.
The fireman will use it to pop a hole in the roof. Watch out, Gary, someone's trying to get by. So, these are the things, and it's been rusted pretty much for a good 25 years. So this fire escape every connection is compromised. And again, we have the problem. Spot repair, if you want, and give me a load test,
Yeah.
or full refurbishment in lieu of a load test. But every one of these connections into the wall needs a new connection, a new epoxy bolt or a new through bolt. Right? And this is something you've been seeing. So is this a yellow or a red in your estimation?
Well, I think everyone would think would
Well, not everyone's going to always go red, but you always find things that are a life safety issue. The fact that you know always a car parks underneath here, what does that do? It starts pushing it towards red. The fact that you see treads with huge expansion that is ready to let something drop, it starts getting it near red, you know what I'm saying? But you'll find plenty of ones that the treads are already dangling. It's already red.
Yeah.
But again, it's the awareness, you know, at least let us identify these during your pre-plans as whether or not they're, so that the fire truck driving down here, there's a list there that the guy says, hey, everybody on the truck, everybody. It's a red. Nobody on the fire escapes.
Yeah.
But ideally, in the middle of the night, there's a white tag on there. The thing is beautiful. You release it, it drops to the ground, no obstructions, and the firemen are crawling up and down, smashing in windows, getting in here and fighting this fire,
Yep.
nice and quick. The main truck that has the ladder on it is 3 minutes away, 5 minutes away. Guys are already inside fighting this fire.
Yeah.
That's what the tag system is going to do for you on this. All right.
Yep.
But so far so good. You learned a lot, and a lot of that class came from, like I mentioned before. You already know this stuff. You know, it's common sense stuff, and now that you heard it and it got explained to you, I really didn't teach you too much more than you already knew from common sense. You dealt with bolts. You dealt in the Navy. You put things together. You took things apart. This is all common sense stuff. This is a Rector set, nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
But sometimes we think it's a bigger animal than it really is, and it never is. It's simple. 97% of it is outside the building, 3% of it is buried in the building, and we got answers for all three. But we want some guarantees. Load tested,
Yep.
full refurbishment in lieu of a load test.
Yep.
You want something in between that? Do it, but give me a load test anyway.
There you go.
So
That's it.
there's your two options. No opinion letters anymore, correct?
No. Okay, let's take a look at
I'll tell you who built it. Those are hard to find. I'm going to start collecting those signs. So Farscape Academy Inspector Training. We're here in Concord, New Hampshire. We just did a Farscape seminar, and we're here watching Farscapes. We got Ken here, one of the inspectors, one of the fire officials for the city of Concord, New Hampshire. So must be structurally sound, must be kept painted, and you have to be able to.
I'm looking at that.
I mean, what is it? Is it for the hammer? You know, can we bring it down? Let's look for a release arm. It's got a release arm. See that release arm? And is
I
it
do,
is
but-
it functioning? No.
It doesn't look like it. It's got
Because
caution
it's
tape
not
on.
resting. It doesn't want to go up. But even if it could, so now you have a problem. And
What?
that is a lot of times, you know, how far up can they come? And they can't. I mean, aside from blocking violations, I don't know if there's a parking thing, but you're literally going to lose 2 parking spaces here, or make this small compact car only. And a lot of times it's a bollard. And that bollard needs to be right here. One bollard in the back of this one bollard, and this is like almost a motorcycle place only.
Yeah.
And or these two could be a sidecar, a side version of a car this way. But you can't block the way they doing it here. They're blocking the door. Look at this situation. This blocks, so with that being the case, we already have one piece that we need to discuss here with the building. So, but let's step back and ask, must be kept painted. How long has this been not painted in your estimation?
Well, like you said in the class, you know, if the exterior of the metal is pretty much all rusty, it's probably at least 25 years.
Correct.
Uh,
Original hardware now, let's talk about that.
It looks like they've replaced some bolts on a few of the steps,
Otherwise, what do we got?
but pretty much all original.
All original. So this structure, which is 50, 75, possibly 100 years old, they've changed the windows. They've changed the windows. They've probably done something to the roof. Have they, in your estimation, have they spent 1 nickel in maintenance on this fire escape?
Looks like very little, if anything.
Right.
In a long
Looks like
time.
this came in after. This looks like a new construction to hold that pivot. It looked like that pivot was not properly supported, and they weren't sure, so they built this contraption underneath it. But when you look at the gussets, you know what I'm saying? When you start looking at what's holding this thing up, it's all original hardware. Look at all these connections, square head bolts. When you look behind here, what do you got?
Oh yeah, you got a lot of rust.
A lot of rust in here. So who's going to tell you whether this is good or bad?
Oh, we're gonna get an engineer to do that.
So that structural engineer or that firescape engineer is going to come in here and satisfy you, because if he doesn't satisfy you, what do you want done on this thing? If somebody
Well-
says, I'm just going to spot repair it, I'm just going to paint it and
Well, then,
call it a day.
Then you have to get a road test
then I want a load test, right? And you want to be here for that load test?
Well, how about over there?
Over there, a little bit away. Because you got.
behind you, Ken.
So on each platform, just to give you an example, Ken, is that 3 feet out? And is that 40 feet long, plus minus? Just that platform there.
Yeah.
3 feet out, 40 feet long. 4 times 3 is 12. I mean, 40 times 3 is 120. 120 times 120 square feet times 100 pounds per square feet. It means I need to put up there 12,000 pounds. You know what 12,000 pounds looks like on this building when it passes?
Well, that vehicle and this vehicle.
No, that's when it fails.
Oh.
That's what happens when it does fail. But 12,000 pounds, I got to put it on there and wait, and then I got to move 12,000 pounds to the next platform, and then I got to move 12,000 pounds to the next platform. It's actually more because I'm only counting 40 feet. Then when I'm all done with that, again, I got to load all the treads. The entire staircase is a calculation
Yep.
of so many thousands of pounds. You know how long that takes?
Long time.
Long time. I got to move weights around. Does that buy any bolts or buy any paints for this client?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
No, load test. Does it buy any bolts or any paint?
Oh, the load test? No. No.
So it's kind of a waste of money.
It is.
They should use that for refurbishment. But should they go into the point where they say, no, I'm just going to spot repair a few things. What do you want after that?
Load test.
So refurbishment is the only thing that's going to make you happy, right?
Well, that's probably the best option for you.
Is there any other option that, I mean, you went into class.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can come up with another option.
Well, it's
You want an
it's
opinion letter?
No.
No opinion.
It's either load test or.
Which is a guarantee.
Right. Or
A load test.
Or refurbish.
Refurbish is another guarantee, isn't it? Because if we refurbish and put all these brand new bolts and all these connectors into the building from Hilti, and something horribly goes wrong, who do we sue? You go after the bolt company. So in a load test, they can't sue me, the engineer. They can't sue you, the city. They can't sue the owner because they did everything feasible that could be done. But then in a refurbishment, we've done everything feasibly that can be done. Can you do anything else other than change all the bolts and change and then duplicate the connections back into the building? So that's another guarantee in lieu of a load test. Anything else you can come up with? So that's it.
That's about it.
That's about it, because you're trying to limit the liability for the city.
Of course.
And the code is very clear. Load tested, it starts with load test. It doesn't start with repair it and maybe a load test. It says, you satisfy me because you did a load test, or you gave me other satisfactory reason
Yeah.
that the material strength of the fire escape is good.
Yeah.
So they've been giving you for 75 years, in lieu of a load test, they've been giving you opinion letters. Is that any longer acceptable by you?
No. I mean, the code doesn't allow for opinion.
No, but they have been for 75 years.
Well, they
You
haven't
look
been
at-
given an
They may be in the jacket. You may find in the jacket a letter from a structural engineer that says, to the best of my information, knowledge, and belief, a single-page document. This fire escape is structurally sound and has been kept painted. That's called an opinion letter.
Right.
Will you accept those anymore?
Well, no.
Especially on this fire escape that's old.
Well, yeah, this one's very old. That's
So load test it or refurbish it.
yeah.
Let's walk down here. There's another one right down here.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it looks like it's in the same condition. So can not that you want to, but can you inspect these fire escapes from your vehicle by rolling down the window and write violations on them?
No.
Oh, okay, I'm missing something.
Is this an active building to your knowledge? Is this
They-
a life safety issue?
Well, they have two, I know in this building, they have two separate staircases internally.
Okay.
Uh,
So let's talk about that. That does happen. Somebody comes in and says, "Man, I'm going to make $1 million off this building. I'm going to gut the inside. I'm going to make some apartments. I'm going to give you what you need: sprinkler systems, alarms, smokes, and 2 internal stairs." Then why is this still here? So use it or lose it. Now, if it's going to stay here for whatever reason, then sometimes the hysterical committee steps in. You ain't taking this off. It's part of the character of the building, and it's got to stay. Does this then need to be fully refurbished and load tested?
well, if it's there, it should be functional and operational.
Right. So right now, if there's 2 mean stairs inside, sprinkler systems and everything, you need signage on this for 2 people. Signage for the occupants that live in the buildings. They never go outside on this fire escape, ever. So that means that even though you got windows, I need physical grates on the inside of my apartment that stop me from foolishly going out on this fire escape.
No, we wouldn't do that.
Well, use it or lose it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you wouldn't bar the windows
Yeah.
because we could still put ladders up.
Okay, so then so if they're gonna keep, that's what I'm saying. If they're gonna keep this fire escape, they must load test it and keep it fully functional all the way to the ground. They say, no, we don't want to. Then you say, then you gotta get it removed. So that at no time do my firemen jump on this rickety old thing, or the occupants don't mistakenly think they have another way out.
Yeah.
And if they say, well, we're not decided yet whether or not we're gonna remove this. You say, great, then I want you to block the access from the inside with some sort of grate, a railing of some sort that stops the occupants from getting out the window to a bad fire escape that everybody knows. And you need signage on here that says, that placard up there would say, don't get on the fire escape. A big sign for your guys that when they get here, do not get on the fire escape. And all stories would have that placard on it. Do not unsafe structure. And then if they're gonna fix it in 3 to 5 years, great, but nobody will ever get on it. The tenants are blocked from getting at it. They still get their sunshine, but they're blocked. And your firemen are never gonna get hurt or killed on this thing. With that being the case, let's take this into another case study. This is a building that does need this fire escape. What's your problem here?
It's a little on the short side.
It's a little on the short side.
And
Cantilever got removed.
definitely needs to be refurbished.
Refurbished, you need a new staircase. Let's take a look at this. This is great when it's this far down. Original and square head bolts. It's riveted or squares?
Oh, it's all square.
It's all square.
And the hinge part is riveted.
Yeah. So you've got something at least 75 years old, right? And it's tying into the building. It properly cemented into the building. What from this side? Ken.
Look, some holes on this side.
So is the connection into the wall suspect now?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Up there in that corner. You see that corner in there?
And even up there, you can see it's pulling and heaving the bricks.
Yep, pulling. That's from a rust jacking or ice jacking. Let's look up now. In a 50 to 75 year life, and they spent some millions of dollars refurbishing this building to get some rents, and they either sold it as condos or as rentals, right? So they spent.
It's rentals.
Okay, so they spent some good money on this building. New windows, right? Does it look like they spent one nickel on any one of these struts?
Oh,
Right? So you have, and they probably removed this lower part so that kids wouldn't break in and into the building. So there's several reasons why they do these things, but now the question is, use it or lose it. So every connection is compromised
oh yeah.
because they let it rust this far.
Yeah.
The connections into the building, the water's getting into every building. You got rust stains into everywhere that the fire escape is at. There's rust stains indicating that water has gotten in. You know, bricks have spalled because of the amount of ice jacking and rust jacking. And this is typical. We haven't seen one fire escape that you've passed so far.
Oh no, no.
So this fire escape, if this was an active fire escape and you needed it, yellow or red?
Oh, this is definitely
This is the red. What would that one be? Yellow or red?
red.
Red. That one way down there, all the ones that we came out of,
Oh, they don't do red.
they'll all be red. So your main thing as you start getting into this, it's not going to be the brightest walkthrough. You have to start getting ready to say, I got yellows and reds. I'm going to find a lot of reds. Let's get those immediately addressed. And the address doesn't mean fix it. The address doesn't mean automatically fix it. It means get it signed. Get it aware so that people are not going to jump on this. So the awareness that it's a red is key. Then you start getting into the second. So let's take this one as an example. If this was an active building and this was used on any building, and the guy says, oh my God, by the time I buy a staircase and do all these things, you know, and he gives you all the runaround of why, and this is the only second means of egress out of any building.
Well, then you have to, you can't occupy this.
Then you,
floor.
so that's one choice. You can vacate the building till such time that this does come into play, or you can put a fire watch 24/7, right? If it meets your standard.
Yeah, but I still don't think.
I'm going to give you another answer to it though, but you know, that's one, right? Fire watch, vacate the building, and you're going to get an uproar. This guy's the cousin to the mayor or something, you know, you're like, but here's the final. Do you have scaffolding companies in this area? Oh yeah. You think I got room right here for a scaffolding company to come in and create a tower all the way up and pick up this entire fire escape system with a new stair tower? Scaffolding, rented, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, whatever it may be. Can you put some temporary scaffolding here that is the rise and run is 7-Eleven inside. It's a
Right. Yeah, I mean, if they had that available, yeah.
Well,
You could
everybody
do
has it available, but this guy's giving you a hard time.
Yeah.
So can you order scaffolding that he's gonna pay for anyway?
Yeah.
That gives the occupants a way to get out. Maybe this is a building that's full of, elderly people, or, it's not one of those buildings you can readily just vacate. You're like, dude, I'm ordering scaffolding. And they're gonna secure the situation until this matter gets resolved. You got a big bill here right now. But in the meantime, while you're dicking around, you're dragging back and forth, I'm ordering a tower put in that you're paying for. And that'll take as long as you want to resolve it. And it ain't gonna be much time that I'm gonna give you, but now we got a little breathing room, because now I can basically get my people onto the building and into the building, and I can get you people out of the building because they're all gonna come out on this window, for example, and that's easily secured with the scaffolding. So scaffolding is your answer. Whenever somebody gives you a hard time, it's a temporary stair to satisfy any means of egress you need.
Yeah.
And they pay.
Yeah, because I mean, it has the proper stairs and it's
And
got
railings and
got
protection.
the toe boards.
So that's what you say. When somebody wants to waste time and throw you out to court and throw lawyers at you, you say, I'm gonna vacate your building, I'm gonna put a fire watch, or I'm gonna order scaffolding. And then we got all the time in the world, because you're paying $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month for the scaffolding.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind, that's a
I
quick
will.
answer
I will.
for means of egress.
There isn't anything else back that way. That's back to Main Street. Okay, I mean, we can go this way.
Okay.
Because I mean,
Perfect. Two totally separate buildings, right? There's a firewall, so the separation there. So there's two separate walls. So any evidence of maintenance?
nothing I can see.
It's been rusting for how many years at least? Based on your visual opinion?
Yeah, at least 25.
And then what's this tie-in here? It looks like this guy goes nowhere, but he goes to a roof. Is that allowed? It's called a crossover.
Yeah.
As long as you cross a firewall, you're allowed to use your neighbor.
Yeah.
Is that what he's doing here?
Yeah, it looks like he's going.
Into there?
Although I don't see any steps.
It's a big step up.
Yeah.
Is that fire escape pass inspection?
Oh no.
All exterior steel or wooden stairs. Is this a fire escape? Gary, let's come over here because it's kind of noisy in there.
Yep.
Well, by definition,
Okay. Now, does that need to be load tested? Yeah. And does that need to be maintained? On average, wood decks last how long? 15 to 25 years only.
right.
Fire escapes with abuse, 75 to 100 years with abuse. So when you make recommendations back to these people, you say, listen, you can put wood back here, but every 25 years I'm going to be bothering you. Or go metal over here and be done with it.
Yeah.
Okay? So any other fire escapes? Cut. All right, so you have another spot that you think is full of fire escapes that you want me to look at?
Yeah, if you don't mind,
That's it.
a little walk.
All right. Why do I think I've been here before? I'm having some deja vu.
I don't know.
All right. I've inspected this fire escape before for some reason. So let's start here.
Or one that looks like it.
No. I've been here.
It's like, I've seen you before.
I've seen you before. I know you.
Why are you looking at me like that?
And so let's start here. And let's look at a couple things. First of all, must be structure sound, must be kept painted. You're
Oh,
looking
no.
for evidence of maintenance. You're looking for original hardware.
Oh yeah. The wooden.
Yeah, the wooden
Step.
step. But let's look over here. I thought I saw something as I was walking. Look at this one over here.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. Do you step on that during a fire? Look underneath here. Look underneath here. This is a perfect example right now, Ken.
Yeah.
You got my nice rivet here, right? Nice rivet that is giving you a false reading.
Yeah.
But what do you got on the other side?
Nothing.
Nothing. And this is that thing that I told you about. Those rivets, Ken, are only 3/8 long.
Right.
And as soon as the rust grows far enough away so that it no longer rests on top of that rivet, what do we got here?
It pulls it apart.
An unsupported tread. So this does want to come down. There's nothing on this side. You can see the shaft from this side.
Yeah, I can see
You can
it.
see you can see the rivet, but it's an unsupported tread.
Yeah.
You have a fire in this building, your men will run up this thing. They are not going to take time to put up a ladder here. They're going to run up this thing, and then either on the way up or on the way down or after several stomps. And please look on this way. Look over here and shoot your eyeball straight down. Life safety issue or not?
Oh yeah, I like that.
Okay? See all those treads all the way up? Those are all made to break your legs, break people's spirit. You got a monstrosity of growth here, patchwork. And somebody already caution taped this thing. That's why there's some, for some reason I remember this as an inspection that we got called down here for, and I remember this piece and how it ended here. So, with that being the case, let's take a look at this next one right here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We got wood,
That's funny.
right? But here's the problem. I mean, you fight this fire from the inside, all hell breaks loose, you're gonna break out, your men are gonna step out onto this wood. And it's rotten wood. How long did it take that wood to totally rot away?
Oh, a long time.
You know what I'm saying? So use it or lose it. But in the meantime, what you got to do is look at all the cement cracking. That's from freeze and thaw. It's called ice jacking or rust jacking. The ice gets in and splits all your brick, or if the water gets in there, feeds the iron grows and does all that. So now we've got severe wall structural crack. So even if the guy wants to do something with this building, but you know what you need on these, aside from the clearing of all this debris, you need signage that says it's not to be used. So you need the red signs or the yellow signs on it. This one needs red signs on it.
Yeah.
You need the same way you have buildings that you're supposed to surround and drown.
Yeah.
Because if this guy had that sign that you guys have that says don't enter this building ever,
Right.
because it's surrounded and drowned, what happens to this guy's insurance? Doesn't even, they cancel his insurance. They don't want buildings that you can't get into.
Right.
So if all of a sudden you start putting signage on these, and that's what I recommend. If they don't want to fix this, then how about signage on here that stops you guys from ever getting on it? You know what I'm saying? So in your awareness program that you're doing in the city, you're just identifying fire escapes that are life safety issues for your men.
And for the occupants.
Some of them don't have occupants. There's no occupants here. And that's going to be the fight. Your guy says, dude, I get no rent. You give all you get tax money from me every year because, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, why should I? And you're like, all right, here we have a guy coming up with stories, but minimally what I'm going to do as a city official, I'm going to get all these fire escapes tagged with signage for my men that says, when you get there, do not get on these fire escapes, surround and drown this building. When you get to this fire escape, you need something quick and on this fire escape that the men can see in a red tag right down here, and a red tag up above. As many red tags as you can put on this whole entire fire escape and put on safely, it helps your men do what? Not get on it. On your pre-plans, as the truck is coming down here, don't they have a sheet that says what are some of the problems with that building?
Oh yeah.
And shouldn't-
we pre-plan most of our buildings?
So shouldn't a pre-plan on a building be that the fire escape is out of service?
Oh yeah.
Isn't that one of the lines that should be on there?
Oh yeah. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of the, in fact, I think most of our pre-plans say not to use the fire escapes.
But that's not because it's true. That's because it's the catch-all that basically saves everybody. They say, you know what, in case of fire escapes, don't use the fire escape, okay?
Right.
And I know that applies right here.
Oh yeah.
That applies right here. But then all of a sudden you get one of your young recruits and he shows up on that one and he doesn't get on it. He goes to the truck to go get a ladder so that he can climb up in a window. You're like, dude, what are you doing? He goes, dude, my captain every day drills us. In case of fire, never use a fire escape. And I don't know if this was a test, man, but I'm not getting on that thing. My captain will chew me out. So that's the problem, you know. They're gonna second guess themselves because they think it's not to use fire escapes ever, regardless of their condition. What we're trying to say is, no, you can use fire escapes, but the ones that are marked dangerous, don't get on them.
Right.
The ones that are marked with a nice white tag, don't save time, man. Just get on these things. Let's go. Because they're good. We've proven they're good through load tests and through refurbishment.
Right.
Let's take a look at this baby over here and see what kind of.
Oh man. It's a good looking one, eh?
Well, this one has one of those fold-out ladders. Let's see if it's functional. Nope. Frozen. This used to fold into itself. And there's the pin. So this used to go up, and that's how people didn't break into the building. But it's been down so long and it's frozen.
So it looks like it's bolted in place.
Could be the case they could have frozen it, but it is there's a fixed point on the left, and this is a folder. So let's take a look at everything you need. Original hardware.
Oh yeah.
Any evidence of maintenance?
No, not that I can see.
See the nice heavy through bolt?
Yeah.
Probably got a plate inside. This is one of those that's got a plate inside.
With a brick wall. Yeah.
Yeah, on the other side of the brick wall, it comes all the way through and it bolts right here. Okay, let's take a look at the treads. Any evidence of rust?
Oh yeah.
Popped rivets?
Oh yeah.
Any of these ready to go and drop some of your men's feet?
Looks like somebody tried to weld that wall.
Yeah, and they do. And
Yeah.
what's the problem with welding? What's the only way to verify a weld for you? Yeah? Anybody gonna x-ray these things?
I don't think so.
What's the second way you want me to prove it? Well, load test it, right?
Yeah, load test.
Or if I pop a bolt through it, I mean, obviously if they're clean, if the connection is clean and I got a welded connection, if I pop a bolt in it, will you be satisfied? Yeah, redundancy. So let's see how far this goes. It goes up. What do you think about this whole mess up here? Is that safe structurally? Teetering on a single? Yeah, if the whole wall is shattered. Usually you need two. Why this guy just put up one? Is it for balancing acts?
I don't know.
Save on some money? Let's look back here. Let's look up there. From down here, Ken. From back here, Gary. Ken, what do you think about any evidence of maintenance? Fire Escape Academy Inspector Training. We're here in Concord, New Hampshire. We got Ken, the fire official.
Yeah.
Last name?
Keel?
Keel. And he was just in a class today that we did at the Fire Academy. And now we're going to be basically doing what's called a downtown walk around. We're on the back of South Main, I believe. And
It's actually North Main.
we're in the back of North Main, and this is the back, and we're looking at a fire escape. So if you want to look at this, you got taught a class. Fire escapes rot from the inside out or the outside in.
Inside out.
So you're looking at this fire escape, and somebody has let it rot and rust 100%, right? That one and this one.
Oh yeah.
So does that in any way compromise any and all connections?
Oh, probably all or
All of
majority
suspects.
of them.
Who's going to tell you which ones are good?
Oh, an engineer.
An engineer. So now, with that, we also have a great thing to talk about is, does it look like it has a nice catwalk system up there? It looks like it was Mickey Mouse, some sort of, does it look like it has a walkway up there made of steel?
Well, you're talking about
On the
this
rooftop,
little
because it looks like
section?
it's a staircase to a roof,
Yeah,
or it looks
kind
like it
of
got
a-
Mickey Mouse up there.
Kind of a deck with some kind of rickshaw railings
So
and so forth.
That's questionable. And then now let's take a look at it. As we get closer, and we're going to concentrate from down here. Can you see any evidence of maintenance? This is a 50 to 75-year-old structure. Do you see any evidence of maintenance?
No.
Any shiny new bolts?
No.
So 50 to 75 years, never a change of one bolt.
Doesn't
Is that
appear.
is that possible?
That's possible. Yeah.
No. Is that something that you would expect to be seeing on buildings, or do you expect to see every 25 years, every 50 years, some changes of bolts?
No, I think most people, with the fire escapes, they're out of sight, they're out of mind.
Out of sight, out of mind. So now if we get closer to it, and I told you in the class, I said, rivets are 100-year-old plus minus.
Right.
So it's 75 to 100, and square heads are usually, 50 to 75. What do we have here?
Well, there's a lot of square here. There are some hexes on some of
Great.
these.
So it looks like they came in and they changed out some bolts.
Looks like some bolts have been changed here because now we're riveted up
We're
there.
back to rivets. That's great. So now let's take a look at this. Let's do some investigation. So we have rivets. We have squares. Does it continue to the ground?
No,
Is it legal?
I think it's within 8 feet of the
Okay.
ground, I believe.
If you have within 8 feet, so people can actually jump,
Right.
is one of your local codes. So you have to double check. Usually it must be continuous to the ground. I would see that normally these get removed for a reason. There was either a cantilever here, or because people were breaking in, they would do this. They would remove this section and just call it a day, but nobody knows. But usually all fire escapes of this size building are
Right.
continuous to the ground and there is no jump off. Do you see any rust here? This is a good spot right here. You want to get down here, Gary? Look on this side. Look inside this connection and look into the back, and what do you see there?
Oh yeah, you can see the rust is spreading the metal here.
Perfect. How about in the back side? You step back, go here. How about on this side? Come in this side and put your finger in there and see what you see there.
Yeah.
Yep.
rust
So a
inside.
lot of rust. Let's see if we can find anything that's tying back into the building. This gusset plate is showing some expansion from above. You can sort of feel where the rust is getting in there. And who tells you whether these things are good or bad?
It would be the engineer.
The structural engineer or the fire escape engineer.
Yep.
You see a hole there in the wall there. You think any water's getting in there and rusting out that tie back into the building?
Oh, I'm sure there is.
This other one looks pretty tight, but look at that one, it's wide open. So just through natural freeze and thaw, through natural moisture, what's it doing inside? Do you have any pictures, or who would verify that for you?
Oh, you'd have to have the engineer verify.
Verify by opening it up, take out some bricks and opening it up, or what's a better way for you now?
Oh,
Now
you can just extend out to one side or the other and put a new support in with new
So
epoxy
duplicate
bolts.
it, no epoxy bolts, keep the originals, seal them up, and give me new connections, and you eliminate the need to verify them, correct?
Right.
And you also start eliminating the need for load test.
Yep.
Now, there's on this fire escape, after you get all the rust out and after you do all the cleaning, what's the couple of ways that you get guarantees from this?
Guarantees?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to, either basically refurbish or
That's one way.
or load test.
No other ways, is there? Can I spot repair it and load test it?
You can spot repair and load test.
Okay. Otherwise, to eliminate the costly load test on such a structure, what's the only thing that will satisfy you on such an old structure?
Well, you're gonna have to refurbish.
Refurbish. Let's take a look at this fire escape, and then we can peek up looking at this one some more. What's happening here? What's this starting to show you?
Oh, lots of rust on these on these steps,
So,
and it's actually rusted through at the bottom,
do fire escapes rust from the outside in or the inside out?
inside out.
So is this showing this much rust? You're expecting worse underneath, right?
I would
A
imagine.
lot of
so,
these
yeah.
get salt and sand. And what happens with that salt and sand when you add moisture, such as water and ice and snow?
It eats metal.
So let's go below this, because this is not a very old fire escape, believe it or not. It's not that old. But when we come underneath here, what do we start to see?
Oh, yeah.
Now, your code, the NFPA says you have to be satisfied that there's strength here. Are you satisfied that there's strength here, or is some of this connection suspect? Especially when you look up there, you got all the rusty tears coming down.
Yep, you've got a lot of suspect here.
Okay, so all you need right now is a structural engineer to come in and spot repair it and fully load test it, or you can have that structural engineer basically refurbish this, replace certain components that are rotted away, seal up this thing, and sometimes on these you can actually put the rubber, that outside rubber, to
Right.
stop the water from getting to the steel, but still give people the traction they need to get out of here.
Right, because that's another thing that's required is your tread has to
Non-slip.
be non-slip.
Let's take a look at these fire escapes here, because do you have any question about the rest of the fire escape going up? Or is it all,
I would classify it all the same as this.
Yes.
So it's
even though they did some
definition.
spot repair here and there, you basically can identify all the way up that it's all original hardware. The gussets are all original hardware. And if you zoom up there, Gary, to this particular platform, you can zoom in on all the original gussets and all the original rivets and stuff like that. So, and this one over here also has a cover too, but that doesn't have, the wind still blows in sideways and does its thing. So let's take a peek at that one down there, because that is a fire escape that doesn't come to the ground, and it looks like it has some damage. So right from here, you see the lower platform?
Yeah,
And it's damaged by a truck.
it looks like it has been.
So when it's damaged by a truck, is that a standard repair or is that life safety?
That would be life safety.
So we don't know if this is an active building or not, but you'll tell us. But the fact that a truck hit it has basically compromised the entire structure, not only for the tenants inside, but should your fireman ever choose to use this to help in any situation here. So let's see how bad the damage was. And by the way, are you aware that before you can return anything to service, you must fix the entire system? You can't just fix one thing, you have to certify. So this is actually what's called the fire escape lottery ticket, meaning if they know what truck hit it, they get it fixed for free. If they don't know what truck hit it, they have insurance for hit and run, so they get it fixed. So this is not really can they afford to fix it. The insurance is going to fix it anyway, because we have a life safety issue here. So look how severe the damage was on here. And is this a supported bracket or a supported platform or supported stairs in any way?
Well, it definitely supports that platform.
But is it supported now?
Not very well.
So this is a life safety issue. This is a red.
Of course.
Look at all the cement issues that got smashed away. Now, with that step, if this wasn't an issue for us, now we step back and say, okay, let's look at this as just a regular structure that you walked under. Must be kept painted, must be structurally sound.
Yeah.
Is it painted?
Oh, no.
To let this much rust, to eat up all your paint, how many years of neglect?
I'm trying to remember what you said.
25?
In fact, 25,
At least
right?
25 years, right? Any original, we were looking for original hardware or change or evidence of maintenance. Any shiny bolts anywhere.
No, it looks like rivets.
Rivets, which means it's an older,
Square bolts.
some squares up on the tops, yeah.
Yeah.
And the tie-ins are metal with rivets. So, and tell me a little bit about in class. You learned about all these rusty tears coming down. What's this an indication? This much rusty tears, or we call it also dragon tears.
Right. That indicates that where the support enters the building, it's rusting inside the wall.
And it has to
behind the facade.
behind the facade, and basically it's leaking out and proving to you that the connections is the wall. Suspect or not?
Oh yeah. Very.
Right. So, with all that being said, now here you have a structure that somebody will come in here. If you wrote a scrape and paint violation, guess what they would do to this fire escape before you showed up again?
The tank.
So you write a violation that says what words?
It needs
Repair?
repaired, painted, and tested.
Tested. And when somebody calls you up and says, "Hey Ken, what do you mean by repair?"
Well, when the engineer identifies the areas that need repaired on his report, that's what
Okay. What do you mean by paint?
that means. That all of the metal has to be painted and all of the joints
As per the
sealed.
EPA guidelines. So if you have lead on this, that's another issue.
Right.
Make sure you don't let any of that paint chips get back into the building.
That's
What's
correct.
test mean?
Why, load test.
So you, after I repair, you still want me to load test it?
I do, unless the whole unit has been refurbished.
Ah, so if I refurbish this fire escape, this is not too big of a thing. So you want me to change every tread bolt,
Right.
every support rivet,
Right.
every rail connection, major connections only,
Right.
and then the tiebacks into the building. I gotta repack the ones that are there, but then next to it, you want me to put an epoxy bolt or duplicate of it.
Right.
I don't have to load test.
No.
So that crazy money I would spend on load test, you say I could spend it on the fire escape and actually use it to repair and paint it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. After I refurbish my fire escape, when's the next time you're gonna ask me for a load test?
Probably about, was it 5 years?
That's
It's
the-
every 5 years for existing.
Right, but it's every 25 years. If you refurbish, on average, most people will not ask for a load test for another 25 years.
Right.
And then it's at the consideration of the inspector. Who I have to satisfy, even 25 years from now, whether or not a load test should be ordered. Who do I have to satisfy?
As far as it
Who-
would be the AHJ.
Yeah,
Right.
right. So right now you're looking at a fire escape that has some life safety issues. And let me show you one thing that you're gonna love. Because somebody came in here, and this thing's been hit several times before. So now, take a look at that one, and do you have evidence that shows it's been through bolted? And that something's coming out of the building and picking up the angles. You see underneath there that rod that came out of the building? In that corner.
Almost looks like a pipe.
Yes, but it comes out and there's a nut on it. So come over here. And see the nut on this side? So it's a bolt that comes from inside the building, picking up the masonry. And see that nut
Yep.
comes out and then L's out, and there's the nut right there, right?
Yep.
And the other side has the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's a traditional old through bolt system, right? Now, this thing's been hit a few times. This is a brand new angle that was put here because it's been hit so many times. Can you tell me whether this angle that was put here is through bolted?
It doesn't look like it. Looks like they've had studs
Yeah, they-
installed.
Yeah, they put in what's called expansion anchors. Are expansion anchors acceptable?
No.
So this one is incorrectly installed because it's been hit several times before.
Right.
What about the other one? Is it properly installed?
It looks like lag.
Right. So is lag bolts acceptable?
Nope.
Nope. And if you look over here, if you look straight up, what's left of that pin, the pin that looked like the other one,
Right.
it looks like it's sheared right at the building wall.
Yes, it does.
Okay?
Yeah.
So this whole platform now, is it safe for tenants or your firemen to hang out and have a smoke?
Oh no.
So
Oh, no.
we got a life safety issue here.
Yeah.
Okay? So these are the kind of things, but the only one thing that's a good thing here is that this is not a fire escape that you found that had problems like that one. This is one that has problems and got hit by something, which means an insurance company will resolve this matter for either no money because they say it was a trash truck, the waste management truck. We know exactly what license number and everything was.
Right.
Or it was a hit and run, and my insurance company with a $2,000 deductible or $5,000 deductible is going to fix this fire escape.
Right.
It still gets fixed on the fact that it got hit. Because now I have to refurbish, and this is a great thing. Do I just fix this under my insurance, or in order to bring it back into
Well,
operation?
You have to do the whole system.
And your requirement here is low tested or full refurb.
Right.
So for this one hit, what's he going to get done?
Refurbished.
It's going to get refurbished, and who pays for it?
Probably their insurance.
Their
if they
insurance
have
company.
Insurance.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So Firescape Academy Inspector Training. We're here in Concord, and we're going to go now look at a couple of fire escapes on there.
Okie dokie.